Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today you've got quite a lot to be going over. There's been a lot of changes, rechanges, events, etc. released over the last few days from CCP, and I'm going to just quickly or briefly cover them now. So as I'm pretty sure you're aware, we've got the Nexus 14-day login rewards, and that goes for Alpha and Omegas the same. Now this comes with skins and some of the high sec, low sec and null sec filaments for the current event that's being run. So this includes the general giveaway of skill points, some skins, boosters, etc. Quite nice to get the Quave Zero here. That's a nice additional, but nothing particularly exciting from my point of view or personally. However, there are 330,000 skill points up for grabs, which equates to about 230 million's worth of ISK if sold through injectors or extractors, etc. So again, a nice little discount there for anybody that's looking to take advantage of this, get a few free gifts and get an alt pretty much for a discounted rate. So the nice thing about this event is it's running for 25 days and you've got 13 days of items to pick up, so you can afford to miss a good number of days in a row without worrying too much that you're going to miss out on the last of the rewards here, where unlike some of the current or previous giveaways that have been doing over the weekends, etc., if you didn't get on every single day you would miss out on the final one. So quite happy with that, to be honest. So for Winter Nexus, this is basically a mission style kind of giveaway. There you can get a few boosters and some skins, etc. Now the skins that are being given away are the Auroras, and personally I actually quite like these. I'm not a great lover of skins at the best of times, but I do think these look generally very good. So CCP has done these in a different style than we've seen prior, or as far as I'm aware of, that basically they're kind of like login rewards where you actually have to do something in order to get this. Now, instead of just flying to X or Y or doing something, you have specific missions, and these are quite nice because it caters to miners, combat, exploration, and just shooting a few snowballs at people. So the thing I don't like about this is that it is a bit of a grind, so you've got to do these tasks and then you get 5 points, I think, for each task that is done until you get to your 50, where you get your first item, and then obviously 90 and then 130, and that for the rewards seems rather grindy to me personally. I don't know what you guys think of that, but I have to admit I'm not a particular fan of this, although it is a bit more fun than just being given free stuff. So I'm a little on the fence with this. I know a few people that I've listened to on YouTube, etc., have been quite happy with this. And again, it does give you something to do in game, so that always is a bonus. But again, I've got enough stuff to be getting on with. I don't need additional. And it just seems that, yeah, I'm probably not going to get any of these due to the fact that A, it doesn't counter to the stuff that I do, and B, I just can't be bothered with that amount of grind. To get to 650, I think, is going to be one heck of a grind, and if you get halfway through you're probably going to want to get to the end, and so say the end Thrasher skin, not pretty sure it's worth it for me. But again, let me know, you guys. See, it'd be interested to know if you think it is a nice way of giving out the skins, etc., instead of just getting them in a gift container. And as per the giveaways at the moment, obviously you are getting the skins, but these are applied directly to your ship, so a bit of another way of doing it, I suppose. If you don't want to grind, you can just have these ones automatically assigned, or if you do want to grind, at least then you can sell them on the market, which again makes some additional ISK for some people. So these are currently staged in low sec, high sec and null sec. High sec being the least of the rewarding ones, although the average payout seems to be about 30 million. You've then got null sec, where the general payout seems to be in the region of 50 million, and then you've got low sec, which is the highest of the payments, oddly enough, although probably makes sense because low sec is relatively rough at the best of times. So payout, I think, for there is around 90 million, and obviously depending on the skins. Now the skins are obviously going for quite a premium that they're dropping at the moment, but obviously this is likely to drop as the event goes on and more of these skins get dropped over time. So the skin volatility price is obviously quite high at the moment, but that is likely to drop, so some of the amount of ISK that you can get at the moment is rather inflated. However, each of the sites does drop the overseer effects, and these can be sold to Concord for a fixed price. So you are guaranteed to get a chunk of ISK for each of the sites that you complete, where, so say, it's not just dependent on the market itself. So that's quite a nice little action as well. So one of the very interesting things over the last few days is with the Nexus release, they are Sancha rats, and they have a possibility of dropping Sancha loot, and that includes the Nightmare BPC. Now, CCP accidentally coded it for the Nightmare BPO, so with faction ships you don't get BPOs of faction ships, they're always BPCs. So CCP had to release an announcement yesterday that basically anybody that had received the BPO, A, wasn't to sell it, B, couldn't make copies of it, and B, or C, wasn't allowed to make manufactured goods from it, and that basically today, from downtime, it would be reversed and the BPO would be made into a BPC. That's not to say that people didn't try it on, I'm sure they did, but CCP was quite clear that these would be reversed, anything sold, etc. would basically be taken away. So there are no BPOs on the market or even orders for BPOs now, so I'm not sure how that ended in the end, whether anybody managed to take advantage of that or whether they were penalised for taking advantage of that, but that was quite a big oops on CCP's part. But as soon as they realised, they did release a statement saying that that obviously would be reversed ASAP and that basically don't exploit it. So I'm sure there were some very lucky people that saw a Nightmare BPO drop and thought Christmas had come early, only to be later very, very disappointed on the fact that they had literally just won the lottery. So the fourth giveaway is going to be a gecko. It's only been abused once or twice, should be relatively intact. So put something in the comments of whatever. I'd like to actually know if you are on board with the current Nexus points thing where you get the skins for getting so many points. So I'd like to know if you're for or against that, whether you think it's a good idea, etc. So get that in. Again, at 24 hours from when this video is posted, I will do the draw. So pretty much this time on the 12th. So crack on. However, with the increased drop from Nightmare BPCs, the price of Nightmares may actually drop, because at the moment they are increasing quite rapidly, or have been. They are coming on for 900 million ISK and over. So that has increased steadily from around the 600 million mark quite substantially in the last couple of months. And whatever reason that is, whether it's due to the war, new doctrines, etc., there doesn't appear to be more being sold, so I would say that that is due to less BPCs coming out from the areas where the war is currently going on. So in other news, the drone aggro mechanics which were changed by CCP have now been reversed. They have stated that they are listening to feedback. There were some unintended consequences with the changes that went ahead that they hadn't necessarily anticipated, and that they decided the best course of action was to roll that back for the time being. Now, obviously, a lot of people were quite unhappy with the changes that have been made with drone aggro. Basically, drones used to aggro automatically, and now they don't. You have to assign them or basically manually set them in order to go assault the NPCs, etc. They still work in PvP, but not in PvE. So this change obviously upset a good number of people. There's been a lot of discussions on the forums, etc. CCP decided that they were going ahead with it anyway. Now, the thing that they weren't aware of or hadn't anticipated or foreseen was the fact that when you assign drones to a singular person, that they are able to control the entire stack of drones, and with this disabled that wasn't working, and they weren't particularly happy with that. So as I said, they have rolled this back for the time being, but they have categorically stated that this will be implemented sooner or later. Now, obviously, people are happy that it's been rolled back, but they're going to be equally unhappy in the future when this is changed. Now, obviously, it's not going to be coming back in the exact same form it is at the moment, but I dare say a good number of the disabled features will stay disabled. So although people are happy they're back, I can see a lot of disappointment again in the very near future. I imagine they have rolled it back and have put it on hold for the very moment, due to the fact that obviously Christmas is just around the corner. There's quite a lot going on. There's quite a lot of stuff being implemented into the game right now, and again, it's a headache that they can do without for this very moment. So I imagine that we're probably looking at a little after Christmas or New Year for this to be implemented. So don't get used to the change, make the most of it while it's here and prepare accordingly. Now, the other big change that they have made is they decided that the being able to clone to any station was a bug. Now, it's a bug that obviously a vast majority of us didn't know anything about, and that pretty much you could install a clone at any NPC station. CCP have stated this was never meant to be the case, and you should only be able to clone to somewhere with a cloning bay, which, to be perfectly honest, does make a lot of sense. However, that hasn't been the case for pretty much ever. So they randomly kind of pulled this in, stated that obviously this was now being implemented, and kind of caught everybody on the hop. So this had, again, unintended consequences. There was a lot of uproar because, again, people hadn't had time to prepare. They didn't know it was coming. We didn't know it was a bug and not a feature. So understandably, people were a little ticked off with the sudden change because, again, it causes a lot of upheaval for people not being able to get around. Obviously, the vast majority of people live in jitter in regards to high-sec, so not being able to install a clone in this station is, I won't say problematic, but obviously anything that causes any more aggro than it needs to be is unwanted by most people for obvious reasons. So they have decided again to roll that back for the time being, whether that is going to stay as it currently is or they're going to do some alterations to that. Again, I imagine if they have decided that they didn't want that, they will be implementing it maybe in a slightly different way. Maybe they'll be looking at stations, clone bays, etc. and adding some more, because again, they've spent all this time on the jitter station, they've remodeled it all, and it doesn't have a clone bay, which seems incredible. But again, that's how it is. Whether, so say, intentional or unintentional, we'll find out in the near future, I'm sure. But I, again, imagine this is only temporary. So at the moment, CCP have been obviously rolling quite a lot of things back. But on a side note, at least they are listening to the feedback that we are giving them. Now, obviously, some of this feedback they should have possibly been listening to before implementing this and then having to roll it back, but at least they're not blindly just going ahead and implementing these things regardless. So again, general discussions, etc. are very much warranted. Your potential say does carry some weight in regards to things that, again, this game's very, very complex. It has multi-layers of pretty much everything, so little changes here can have huge consequences elsewhere, which potentially people may not have thought about. Again, if you think about it in a logical kind of way, CCP has, 50 employees, 100 employees, 200, and there's 30,000 of us playing. So if we're finding stuff, we're obviously going to come across things that they haven't necessarily thought about just due to the sheer number of us that play. And obviously, we are highly invested a lot of the time in this game, so a lot of us know it kind of intricately, where I know CCP obviously run the game, but a lot of their employees to an extent don't necessarily participate with the same enthusiasm that the player base does. So there are going to be things that they just haven't considered or thought about in ways that it interacts with one another. So if there are things that you are unhappy with, etc., then do take to the forums, etc., or Reddit. I would obviously suggest in a constructive manner. Obviously helps. If you're just ranting and raving, then people are just going to troll you, laugh at you, and it's not going to get you anywhere. But there have been some really interesting posts on Reddit of recent in regards to what they could do with drone changes. So, and CCP have responded to some of them to say, we are listening, and again, good suggestions. So again, a well thought out post is much better than a rant. So if you do have any issues or problems, then thoughtful, constructive criticism is probably your best way to go if you want to try and inflict any kind of changes. And I think with that, again, a little bit of a wrap up there. I think that's run on long enough. I thank you for your time. I hope that was interesting. Again, have fun and good luck with the sites, skins, drops, etc. And I'll talk to you soon.